Hello, this is Matt O'Leary, and this is Unknowns and Obscurities. It's back, it's happening. In this video, I'm going to go over some of my favorite releases from the first half of 2017 that are maybe a little lesser known or just sort of on the fringes. We'll start off with an album called Modern Pressure from Daniel Romano. If you like just highway driving, Bruce Springsteen, Rolling Stones, Bob Dylan, rock and roll, then Daniel Romano is someone you gotta plug into. And this seventh album, Modern Pressure, is a total power play. It's got style, it's got soul, but there's nothing about it that's raw or naive. Every song is just refined to perfection, with songwriting talent just oozing out of every chord change and witty lyrical narrative. My favorite tracks are Roya and I Tried to Hold the World in My Mouth. Both these tracks have these experimental outro sections that really mirror the Beatles' kind of mid-career albums. Seriously, this is one of the most mature and fully realized rock albums I've heard in a long time. It's a little bit country, but also pretty wacky, pretty psychedelic, with tempo shifts and production tricks all over the place. If you watched the video last year, you know my favorite album from 2016 was called Grapefruit by a 21-year-old British guitar player named Kieran Leonard, whose mysterious and elusive online presence adds intrigue to his already baffling ability. And Grapefruit was this fiercely passionate experimental rock record. It's the kind of stuff, it sounds like you'd stumble upon it at 2 a.m. in this exhaustion and delirium-induced jam sesh. He's got a new EP out called Monarchs of the Crescent Pale. This one's not quite as manic as Grapefruit was, but it's got those two kind of dual elements that make his music so special to me. That is melodic and harmonic sensibility and just a complete raw intensity. And this one's a little collection of mostly improv acoustic guitar cuts, but there are some more cohesive songs in there, like the beautifully solemn Cracked Globe. This guy is an artist. He's sporadically just releasing constantly music on Bandcamp. He's got like a ton of EPs over the past 5 or 6 years on there. It seems like he's just in this constant state of inspiration. And even his little write-ups on the album are just hastily scrawled in this long run-on sentence. It's like this stuff is just pouring out of him. Fascinating guy, fascinating music. Get on it. Icelandic singer-songwriter Soley comes through with an enchanting fairy tale-ish third album called Endless Summer. And despite the name, the twinkling pianos on this thing make it feel more brisk and chilly. And maybe that's just an Icelandic summer thing. I don't think the songwriting here is entirely memorable, but it is a moody listen that can sort of act as a mental vacation, and such a great opening track. The next album is electronic sample-based pop from multi-instrumentalist Jeremy Larson, who goes by the name Violence for this. It's called Awake and Pretty Much Sober. I actually checked this out because a woman named Monica Martin's been pulled in to sing for this, and she sings for the band Fox, who is a folk pop band from Wisconsin. I saw them live. They have a great first album, and Jeremy's obviously got some musical chops with these phenomenal arrangements. It's kind of like the Avalanches with the lush strings and the trip-hoppy beats and those dusty bass lines, and Monica's vocals just take it to the next level. Thundercat, believe it or not, has a little drummer brother named Ronald Bruner Jr., and he's got a debut album out called Triumph. Yeah, this whole family is absolutely insane. Their mom played the flute, their dad was Ronald Bruner Sr., who played drums for the Temptations and the Supremes back in the day. I mean, come on, what a story. Well done, Bruners. This is in the same vein as soul and jazz as Thundercat stuff, but with obviously more emphasis on the drumming. This guy played drums for Kamasi Washington on the Epic. It's got some cornier moments lyrically, but the impressive playing kind of obscures that. I love the thunderous attacks on Take the Time next to these tender words and relaxed melody, or the absolute freak-out jam on Guillaume Diome. If you like soul, jazz, R&B, even heavy rock or metal, you gotta check this guy out. I'm excited to see how his sound and his identity is refined as he ages. Next up's the third album, Lykaia, from Swedish progressive metal supergroup Soen. Super melodic vocals and riffs, but still heavy and momentous. Very Opeth, very Tool, a little bit of Haken in there. Lucidity places gorgeous harmonies on top of a mild and woozy groove, while Sectarian Opal and Sister bring more of the heavy gent riffs and that bombastic playing that the metalheads want. They're not doing anything too unique or original, but this one's just so consistent in writing and production quality throughout. I mean, there's no chink in the breastplate, as they say, like in the Middle Ages. I found this really cool poppy math rock on Bandcamp by a guy named Alex who goes by AM Overcast. This album is called Drown to You, and I'll link that below. The coolest thing about this stuff is the brevity of all the songs. I mean, there are 14 tracks, but each one is just about a minute long. It's such a clever idea, taking just one musical motif or idea and just playing it one time. It, never gets stale, and by the time you're done with it, there's still that intrigue, so you just want to go back and listen more. It's a lot of robust, distorted guitars with muted, understated pop-punk vocals. Next up is an album called Thin by a husband-wife duo called Lowland Hum. My wife really likes this band. She grew up in a home where this kind of mellow folk music was just ever present. It really does have a wholesome, soothing quality to it that warms your heart and makes you feel closer to the ones you love. And Lowland Hum really perfect that simple but sophisticated folk sound on Thin. They sometimes use the voice as just another supporting instrument within the song. Overall, they're just really thoughtful with the way they place timbres and textures within the arrangement. Excellent album, check it out. Retro 60s synths and Beach Boy harmonies make up the new album from Nightlands called I Can Feel the Night Around Me. This is actually the bassist for the band The War on Drugs. Dave of Nightlands sings of altered realities and identity struggles, but none of these heavy sentiments are communicated in a really heavy way. The bossa nova grooves and delirious harmonies sustain this easygoing, carefree feel throughout. This one, kind of like the Soley album, is really agreeable, really sweet and satisfying, but I don't think it's anything worth really steeping in or studying. The first 3 tracks, though, are excellent, so give those a try. Pine Grove band member Sam Skinner put out a little EP called Danny Through Jr. This one's got some background vocals from the lead lady from the amazing band Crying. A really nice jazz guitar instrumental splits the track list of these sleepy pop tunes with cyclical vocal lines. I think my favorite track is Learn, the opener, with its sluggish piano lines. This is a great little collection of bedroom recordings. Finally comes a very eclectic, very fun record by Ahmed Ghalib. He goes by Sinkane, I think that's it, Sinkane. The album's called Life and Livin' It. It's really a pretty globally informed record with classic rock and funk and dub reggae and Afrobeat all playing a part. There are a lot of these sort of empty sentiments about finding your own way and finding meaning from self-actualization. Definitely some Eastern spirituality and ideas I'm not in agreement with, but I am swept up by the charm and just relentless optimism of these songs. Alright, that is it. A lot of great records. Some of my favorites from 2017 so far. Again, I'll link the Bandcamp pages down in the description box. Thank you so much for watching.